Good morning, those of you present, those of you online. Before we begin this evening's meeting, I would like to observe a moment of silence for Braden Lewis, who would have been a freshman at Frenchtown North, that was previously an 8th grader at Barnwell. Braden passed away while on a camping trip with his grandparents and siblings. I would like to invite all of you to take a moment of silence. We are thankful for the life of Braden Lewis, for the ways he made Barnwell and Francis Howell at large a better school district. We grieve his family, we remember him, and we honor him. We join together to continue to show love for Braden, his family, and all the other students of Francis Howell. Thank you all for pausing for the moment of silence. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight for our monthly board meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Pledge of Allegiance. Our pledge leaders tonight are from Independence Elementary. We would like to welcome William, Lewis, and Philip, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we approve the agenda, board, let us restate our commitment to our strategic plan and our vision. Director Owens, if you can begin with the first bullet point on our vision.
Recognized as one of the top 5% high-performing districts in the state.
Employer of choice for talented educators, leaders, and staff.
Fiscally sound with a track record of smart, long-term planning.
Known for graduating well-rounded students who are equipped with the skills and experiences they need to be successful in the world.
Celebrated the work we've done on culture, morale, and ensuring all members of our community feel safe and welcome.
And trusted by families and the community to make good decisions and do what's best for students.
Board, before you is an agenda that has been created to help us achieve those goals. I have a motion to approve the agenda for August 13th, 2026 as presented. So moved. Director Adams and Director Olkey for the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. The Board of Education welcomes comments from the community. During patron comments, residents of the district and staff members are invited to address the Board of Education on issues related to the school district. Speakers are called forward in the order of sign-up, and each speaker has 3 minutes to make the remarks. Please remember that only one speaker is allowed at the podium at a time, and combining time or giving your time to someone else is not permitted. The board appreciates that you have taken the time to come this evening, and we value both your input and your perspective. I would like to remind everyone that we expect that speakers will remain civil and respectful when giving remarks. We also ask that patrons in the audience remain quiet in order to be respectful of the speaker's allotted time. Tonight, we welcome Carl Surrey to step forward.
Thank you. I've previously raised a number of concerns about another bond issue with both the administration and the Board of Education. While they did implement a few minor policy changes, most of the bigger ones have been ignored. Tonight, I'd like to highlight one of those for the public, and that is we don't know how much Prop H will ultimately cost. The ballot will say $150 million, but that's just the face value of the bonds. For example, Prop S, which was passed in 2020, what we all voted on said $244 million. But if you look at the final price tag now, we're at $294 million. The district has spent $50 million more than what the voters thought they authorized. $50 million, folks, that's 50. That's a lot of money. Now the district will try to portray this extra $50 million as free money. And maybe educators believe in free money along with Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. But in the finance world, there's no such thing as free money. How did they do this? The district intentionally boosted the interest rates on those bonds in 2020 and 2021, being offered to a much higher than market interest rate to get investors to pay what's called a premium. From a bond investor standpoint, they gave the district extra cash for the bonds in exchange, and the key is in exchange for much higher interest payments for the next 10 to 20 years. It's that simple. It's basic time value of money, folks. It's the mathematics hasn't changed in the 47 years since I studied it in college. Whether it's car financing, house financing, bond financing, it's time value of money. There is no free money. This may not be illegal, but it's highly unethical, and it's easily remedied. The district can pick whatever number they want. They just need to be transparent. Tell the voters up front how much they really plan on spending and let us know. Some of you may remember that a previous board voted to approve expenditures on Francis Howell North without knowing what the final cost should be. And we all know how that ended. It didn't end well. So with all this knowledge for the public out there, why would anyone vote to approve Prop H when you don't know what the maximum amount will be and the district won't tell us? I'll be voting no, and I will encourage others to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Up next is Sean Whitworth.
Good evening, board members. My name is Sean Whitworth. I'm custodial foreman. I'm here to express my serious concern regarding the recent decision to substantially increase the amount employees are required to pay for their health insurance. Under the previous benefit structure, my insurance premium costs $24.99 per check. Under the new structure, I will be paying approximately $303 per check. With 2 checks per month, this brings my monthly cost to $606. That represents an increase of 1,112% every month. That is $7,272 per year. A change of this magnitude has a significant impact on employees' take-home pay, household budget. An additional $7,000 per year is not a minor increase. It is money that employees must now find in their existing household budget while already dealing with the increase of the cost of housing, groceries, utilities, fuel, and other necessities. I understand that the district faces rising healthcare costs and difficult financial decisions. However, I believe there should be a serious consideration given to how these costs are being distributed between the district and its employees. Employees accept positions with the understanding that the total compensation includes both wages and benefits. When an employee's healthcare contribution increases from $50 per month to $606 per month, the effective value of the compensation is significantly reduced without an equivalent increase in wages. I'm respectfully asking the board to reconsider the current employee contribution structure and explore alternatives that would prevent such a substantial financial burden from being placed on employees. I would also ask the board to provide employees with a clear explanation of the reasoning of the reasoning behind this increase, including projected savings to the district, the alternatives that were considered, and why such a large portion of the increased healthcare cost is being passed on to employees. We work hard to serve the students, staff, and families of this district. Affordable healthcare is an important part to maintaining a strong workforce and retaining experienced employees. Increases of this magnitude could make it increasingly difficult for employees to afford the coverages they need.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time tonight. Up next, we have FHEA.
Good evening. My name is Francine Hill, and I am the FHA president. We want to welcome everyone back to school on the official start date for our returning certified staff. We know many of you have been working hard in your rooms since you were allowed back in the building, and many of our support staff have been working hard all summer. All the hard work really shows. We are looking forward to a new school year full of smiling faces and lots of learning. Many of those smiling faces were at the new educator orientation. It is always exciting to greet our new educators. FHEA had the pleasure of providing breakfast on the first day and helping to welcome them to Francis Howell. We know they have their choice of where they want to work, and we are grateful they have chosen Francis Howell. It is our hope that all district and union leadership can work together and collaborate to make this a wonderful year for all staff, students, family, and community. Part of the work will be helping our community understand the reasons why the district has brought forth Prop O and Prop H. Please be sure to get all important facts and not just rely on social media. We are aware that some members of our community use social media as a platform for sharing this information, which may simply be their lack of information or understanding. We ask if a parent or community member has concerns about anything happening in our schools, that they reach out to the correct district employee. That is the best source of correct information. The board retreat was interesting, and it was nice to watch the Board of Education and chiefs having fun together in their icebreaker. It was good to see the different members of the board express their beliefs on topics they may disagree about, but remain professional and cordial. FHEA looks forward to continued communication with all. We wish everyone a great start to their school year. We can't wait to greet our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next is FHSD.
Thank you, President Blair. My name is Jennifer Vineyard, and I represent FHSD as its president. Tonight, FHSD would like to recognize the support staff who dedicated their time to summer school, ESY, and kindergarten summer success. Your hard work and commitment helped ensure our students continued to receive the support and services they needed throughout the summer. We also want to thank the many support staff who have been working behind the scenes to prepare our schools for the upcoming year. They have worked hard to make sure our buildings and district are ready for students and staff to return. We are also grateful to those who worked through the HVAC installations in hot and humid conditions, as well as our grounds and HVAC teams and others who spent long days working outside during some of the hottest days of the summer. We'd also like to recognize the board and district leadership for moving quickly to address the mold issue at Warren Elementary. Honestly, I was apprehensive about returning to the building, but after seeing the extensive cleaning and remediation that was completed, I can honestly say that the building looks great. We appreciate everyone who made sure Warren was ready to welcome back our staff, students, and families. FHSD looks forward to continuing our partnership with the board and district leadership as we work together to make the 26-27 school year successful for the entire Francis Howell community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So next we have a change in order. We have superintendent comments. At our board retreat last week, we discussed the agenda flow, and there was a consensus to move the superintendent comments to the beginning of the meeting. This shift will provide an opportunity for Superintendent Delaney to share important district updates, celebrations, and context before the board moves into the business agenda. So, Mr. Delaney?
Thank you. Board, we started our benefits open enrollment process this week, and as you might imagine, we are hearing some frustration from staff members about the premium increases that we have had to implement this year. Our benefits team is available to meet with all staff to review options, make plan changes that best suit their individual needs. We are, however, proud as a district that we are able to still cover the full cost of premiums for our employees and partially cover parts of premiums for other family. Obviously, we recognize the impact that many of our staff are feeling if they carry a spouse or dependents on the plan. We will continue to monitor healthcare costs and recommend adjustments to future plan offers accordingly as our committees begin to review the structure as we enter into the 26-27 school year. Next, I want to take a minute to recognize the Spartan Jazz Ensemble at Howell Central. The group has been invited to perform at the Missouri Music Educators Association State Conference in January, marking their recognition as one of the top jazz programs in the state. This is actually the 4th time in 11 years that as an ensemble from the Spartan Band program has been selected to perform at the state conference. I want to recognize and celebrate our talented band directors for the coaching and support they provided to students over the years to achieve these honors. So shout out to Mr. Griffin, Mr. Steck, and Mrs. Krebs with the Howell Central and Sager Middle School music programs. Thanks for all you do for kids. And I would be remiss not to shout out our elementary music educators who light that fire in the kids as they transition to middle school. Earlier this month, Dr. Vanderpool and Mr. Jemerson brought together all of our school resource officers for a school safety summit. Over the course of 2 days, the SROs received training on district procedures, discussed how to better support students and staff, and shared best practices for school safety. I want to thank Dr. Vanderpool and Mr. Jemerson for the time and thought that went into preparing for this meeting, and also a big thank you to the SROs who were able to participate. Our schools are safer with you in them. Parents and community members are invited to register for 2 events in our Healthy Minds, Healthy School series. The first is on August 31st from 5:30 to 6:30, and it's all about helping kids master school transitions from one school to the other. This will be a Zoom learning session, and you can find the registration link on the district website events page. The next event will be held in person on Saturday, September 12th from 8 a.m. to noon. Childcare will be available. This event is more conference style, where participants will choose which sessions they want to attend. All topics are designed to support students. You can view the full list and register on the district website. Obviously, we all know that school, the first day of school, is quickly approaching, and preparations are in full swing. At the end of July, we hosted our annual administrator kickoff. This is when we bring together our principals, assistant principals, athletic directors, and district leaders for some professional development, safety training, academic updates, and team building. It was a great couple of days of learning with a little bit of fun mixed in. You might have seen some funny videos about people in costumes on the district webpage, Facebook page. We were excited this past week to welcome 115 new teachers this year, and they spent part of this week and part of last week learning all things Francis Howell during new educator orientation. I want to thank Dr. Altman for leading that out for all 115 members. Our veteran teachers returned today and are busy getting their classrooms set up and ready to welcome kids on August 24th. We certainly know that some of our teachers have been back for several weeks. We appreciate all the work they do getting ready for our students. Fall sports kicked off this week with tryouts for many sports starting on Monday. It's been nice to see students back on the practice fields and the courts, and bands practicing and getting ready for those first home football games. Coming up, there are a lot of back-to-school events, open houses, parent nights leading to our first day of school. I want to thank our building leaders, administrative assistants, and other staff and teams who make the events impactful for students and parents. I would also be remiss if I didn't recognize and celebrate our maintenance, grounds, custodial teams who have been hard at work all summer long doing repairs, landscaping, deep cleans, so our buildings and campuses are in top shape. That also includes many of our tech staff that have been getting our computer systems up and ready for with new devices and new initiatives. Parents, make sure to complete the ORAV process if you haven't already, so we can make sure we have updated information for your child and any emergency contacts before school starts. And finally, school starts August 24th. Tune in to Fox 2 News on Wednesday, August 26th to catch Francis Howell North on the big screen. Fox 2 will be broadcasting live from Howell North in the morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Board, I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Director Adams? Vice President Grider? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. On item 11 on the agenda is an item pulled from consent. The board requested that this item be pulled from consent for questions and an individual vote. We are required to re-adopt every year policy 0342 and regulation 0342 every 2 years, but the district, again, elects to do this on an annual basis. This is regarding nepotism, conflict of interest, and financial disclosure. We want to pull it aside to highlight our commitment to these particular policies and regulations. Board, do you have any conversation, questions, or comments about this policy or regulation? Okay. I have a motion to re-adopt policy 0342 and regulation 0342 regarding nepotism, conflict of interest, and financial disclosure as required.
So moved.
Director Olkey,
Second.
Treasurer McGuire. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Board, I have a motion to approve the Finance and Operations Report as presented.
So moved.
Vice President Grider, Director Dillard. Ms. Irwin, Deputy Superintendent of Finance and Operations, will present.
Good evening. Thank you, Board of Education and the community, for the opportunity to share an update on the FY27 school budget. Tonight, I'm going to share the monthly update for the 26-27 budget, along with some information regarding a proposed amendment. I forget I have to do this. Okay. I've changed the order of the presentation a little bit. Normally you see the amendment slide first, and I changed it a little bit because I wanted to be able to talk through that before we get to the end of the presentation. But so during this presentation, I'm going to be showing a few different scenarios based on information that was used when the budget was set in June to what we learned at the recent DESE conference, as well as in the July DESE memo. FY26 adjustments have been made, which made slight changes to the fund balances overall once those adjustments were made in the FY26 budget, which is in that pink column right to the left of the green one. Remember, this chart includes the additional revenue from the June payment of $69.58, the increase in the classroom trust fund from $511 to $521, that delinquent tax received at the end of June, and the increase in early childhood funds. So that's what you see in FY26, and as we still will be making a few adjustments based on the audit, that number might fluctuate slightly, but it's going to be very slightly as it makes that adjustment. The next slide is also one that you've seen before. This is the operating fund balance trajectory that you see, and this again is based on the FY27 budget that was approved in June. So this hasn't changed much other than that 29.94% for 25-26 went down slightly. It was 29.95 last month, so just went down slightly. But again, as I want to reiterate that all of the scenarios that we have are using the same assumptions that you see on that little table on the lower right-hand corner, with the local tax information, state adequacy target that is flat, gross pay of a 3% increase, which includes STEP, benefits of 8% increase, and then that capital transfer of $5 million. So each of the scenarios that I'm presenting include those same assumptions across the board. So the first slide, as I mentioned at the beginning, I changed the order a bit as I wanted to talk through the amendment being proposed this evening. What you see on this slide are three different scenarios. Previously, the board requested to see what the budget would look like if Prop O passes. So you see this information included in each of the three scenarios. So 1 and 2 is one scenario, 3 and 4 is the second one, and 4 and 5 and 6 is the third scenario. Rows 1 and 2 are the original budget numbers used to set the budget the board approved in June. That included the 6,700 number for the state adequacy target, 15,817 for the weighted average membership and weighted average attendance, and 1452 for Prop C, that 1 cent statewide sales tax. Row 2 shows that same information with Prop O added in if it passes. Scenario 2, the second scenario, is shown in rows 3 and 4. Row 3 is using the exact same WAMWATA, the average attendance and average membership, and the Prop C number, but increasing the state adequacy target from 6,700 to 6,800. This change is based on recommendations shared at the recent DESE conference. Row 4 shows the same SAT, 6,800, with Prop O passing. So the ones that are in the white, the row 4 in white is with Prop O passing. One of the things that I want to bring your attention to is that in each of these scenarios, if Prop O passes, that impact doesn't show up in FY27, that impact doesn't show up until FY28, because that's when the funds would actually become available. Okay. So the final scenario, which is the one that I'm proposing for the amendment this evening, is shown in rows 5 and 6 and shows that $6,800 SAT increase, as well as an increase in the projected Prop C sales tax revenue from $1,452 to $1,468. This number was shared in the July DESE memo that we received in mid-July. So part of this was information that we received at the DESE conference, and then part of it was information that we received in the memo that DESE distributes out monthly. So based on this information shared from DESE, we feel comfortable making these changes. We are not proposing to make any adjustments to the WAMWATA number at this time, because those numbers really won't be finalized until November. So we want to leave those the same until we have additional information to make any changes. So any adjustments that are needed to the WAMWATA will come at a later time. This slide is the same 3 scenarios, but instead of looking at the fund balance, I wanted to show you what this will do to our deficit spending with the amendment that's being proposed this evening. Scenario 1 is with our current budget information that was approved in June, which is rows 1 and 2. Scenario 2 is with the $6,800 SAT increase from 67 to 6,800, and then that final scenario, which is 5 and 6, is the $6,800 SAT. WAMWATA stays the same, and an increase of to 1468 for the Prop C sales tax. And you can see when you look at the numbers, it decreases our deficit spending from $4.9 million to just over $2.6 million. So it reduces that deficit spend. However, we do still have a deficit spend. Again, with Prop O passing, if Prop O passes, you see that the deficit spend in row 6 decreases to just under $800,000. But then with the increases with a flat SAT and those other scenarios, we see still an increase in our deficit spend in FY29 and FY30. So the next couple slides are, the next few slides are showing you the information for each of the 3 scenarios in the chart form that you've come accustomed to seeing. The first set of slides shows you the comparison using the budget numbers approved in June with the projection if Prop O passes. So the one on the left on each of these 3 slides is without Prop O, and the slides on the graphs on the right are if Prop O passes. So this is the June budget number, what was approved in June for FY27. The second set of charts is the if just the increase in SAT. So you can see what happens with our trajectory in that scenario. And then the final one is what I'm proposing tonight for the amendment, which is what's in green. This is the final scenario showing using an increase in the SAT from 67 to 68, and then the Prop C sales tax of 1452 to 1468. So this last slide that I'm showing has all of the charts in one graph and in one slide. And what I don't expect you to be able to read this, but what I wanted to demonstrate with this slide is that no matter what we do, we're still in a deficit spend, and we're still getting lower than what we want to be, especially by that 29-30 school year, that FY30. However, with Prop O, it does slow things down a little bit, and the trajectory is not quite as extreme if Prop O passes. So this final slide is the table that you are accustomed to seeing with the amendment included, with SAT from 67 to 6,800, increasing Prop C sales tax to 1468. This does for FY27, which is the 26-27 school year. It does increase our fund balance to 26.44%, so it takes us up a little over 1% from the original projections without the amendment. The next slide, the next two slides are the normal budget amendment slides that you're accustomed to seeing, and this shows specifically the dollar amounts that are generated for each one of those increases. For the state formula, this increase from 6,700 to 6,800 generates an additional $1,720,902 in revenue, and for local, it increases to $636,361, which is just slightly over $2.3 million, which gets us that increased fund balance of that 26.44%. The next slide is just this slide shows you the specific codes impacted by this amendment and the dollar amounts available. So I just kind of went through the specific dollar amounts, but this shows you specifically which codes are impacted. The next slide are the bond financials, and as bond work continues, this slide shows us what the fund balance is when all of the planned projects have been completed, with this month's expenditures included. We have a balance available of $1,072,562 to cover remaining bond work still to be completed or billed. Some of the projects are completed, but they haven't been billed yet, so some of those just haven't come in quite yet. The next slide is about the self-insurance fund financials. So this slide shows you where our insurance fund currently sits with the transfers completed at the end of July. We are opening the fiscal year with an insurance fund balance of $8,556,566, and our dental reserve is currently at $601,960. And if you remember, that number was determined because we want to get to that 3-month surplus to be able to pay claims as they come in. Last month, we discussed that $3 million transfer for the health fund and $185,000 in the dental fund, and those numbers that I just talked about include those transfers that were done. Finally, our finance and operations focus areas and the work that's still in progress. Open enrollment, as Mr. Delaney mentioned, began on Monday and will run through August 27th. The annual financial audit, as we talked about last month, started in June, will continue into October, and with final recommendations brought to the board in November or December, and then finally we'll be submitting that to DESE in December. Facilities and operations, we're finalizing summer construction projects and summer cleaning processes throughout the district, with the maintenance and Warren Elementary remediation is complete, and the focus has really been making sure that we get everything ready to go for every building, but have put in a little bit extra, a few extra people at the Warren building to make sure that they have their furniture put together, because they weren't in there the entire month of July. So making sure that they have some extra people to help with that is something that we've been able to do, and pulling some people from some other buildings. So they've done a really great job getting that building ready to go, and they were able to pull off their kindergarten success this week, and that they had that in the building this week. Safety and security, we're continuing to progress on the Raptor implementation and including the drill management component this year. That drill management is where we are keeping track of tornado drills, active shooter drills, fire drills, all of those kinds of things. This is where we'll be tracking them this year. Technology, Chromebook distribution continues and will be finalized before school starts. Transportation team is working on finalizing routes and making sure that we are using the most efficient routes possible, finalizing those routes. I was over there today, and drivers are in the building looking at the different route options, ready for the bid process that starts on Monday, which is very interesting. I'd not heard that process before, so I'm intrigued by that. And then they also had drivers in there today that they were training, new drivers that are coming on board. And finally, our food service department, some of the final equipment has been installed this week for the new point of sale. That goes into effect in August, and then they've also added some additional crave menu options at the high school level, so they're excited about that. I know a lot of training has been happening with those new changes in the food service department. So finally, I want to end this presentation by thanking Ms. Julie Walsh, as I think we do every month, and her team for the support and work it takes to gather this information. It's a lot of work preparing for the board meeting and making sure that we have all of the information not only given to you, but also to post on the website for patrons to see. I also want to thank Mr. Stetzer, Saloon, for his continued focus on supporting the transition to the new executive director, and welcome aboard to Mr. Rod Hamlet as he assumes the position of executive director of facilities and operations, and you'll get to hear from him later this evening when he does the construction update as well as some information about the Warren remediation process. So, okay.
Thank you. One moment. Board, any questions or comments?
I appreciate all the scenarios that you put together because I feel like visually this really helps us understand how important Propo is. And I saw that in numbers, I saw that in percentages, and then I also saw that in a graph. So I do hope that our community looks at that information and understands what it is that we're asking for and what it is that we definitely need going forward, especially once we get into fiscal year 28.
And on top of that, the tax rate right now is 3.9769. Is that correct? Yeah. Gotcha.
Just under 398.
Yeah, it's
and so
98, yeah.
For those who are watching and interested in the decisions and the props in the November ballot measures, Propo is a no tax rate increase, and so if Propo passes, the tax rate at the end of the day would be 3.9769, correct?
That's correct.
That would be correct based upon today, but we'll be setting a tax rate hearing next month, so that number could change prior to a November election.
Gotcha. So the starting number might be different, but the effect of Propo won't be different.
That is correct. It's a request for about a 12.5 cent movement.
Yeah, and so that's a 12.5 cent movement from our debt service pocket into our operating budget pocket.
Correct.
But still, the impact of Propo will be a no tax rate increase.
That's correct.
Over here.
Thank you. Would you mind going back to the slide where you had all of the different graphs up, please?
Maybe.
I think it was like 6.
Figure out how to do that.
10 or 12.
That one?
Yes, thank you. So, kind of building on what Director Oki was saying, would you agree with the analogy of a car running low on gas, speeding down the highway? Over the last couple of years, we've turned down the AC, we've removed all the weight we can from the car, but that gas meter is still running low, and no matter what we do, it's just going to keep going lower and lower and lower. And with Propo passing, it's the equivalent of maybe setting the speed control to under 60 miles an hour to further maintain what little gas we have left. But no matter what we do, that gas tank is still gradually going to get lower and lower until we're below that red line.
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy. I think the other thing I think this graph shows is that red line, which is the 15% threshold that is in policy that we shouldn't go below. And I think it shows where we get with each one of those scenarios. And it does slow it down, but it doesn't stop it from hitting that line.
Thank you. So, again, to go back, piggyback on Director Oki, everything that you are proposing, everything that is in Propo, all it does is slow down right now the inevitable until a gas station miraculously appears in the distant future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's assuming all of the things that we know currently. That's with us having a flat SAT rate. That's with us having the 3% or 2% increase in assessments on the reassessment or assessment year information. That's all of those scenarios. With those assumptions in place, this is the picture that we have. If any of those change, then the trajectories change. But at this moment, we have to go with the information that we have, and we are looking at a flat SAT. Even though it is higher than what it has been in the past, not the 6958, we're looking at 6,800 right now. It is higher than maybe what we had 3 years ago or 4 years ago, but so are our expenses, and I think that is the revenue is not keeping up with the increase in expenses.
Thank you so much.
Just to reiterate, what's before us right now is there's gonna be a motion to approve this report as is, we get there. That is just to change our estimates based on the new numbers from DESI, which is basically an extra $100 per student, and then some additional money from Prop C.
That is correct.
It does not change any proposed spending for the year. It does not propose any change staffing for the year.
It does not.
It just makes our estimate more accurate to the best of our knowledge. And we might have to change in the future, like we did last year, when the state did not actually deliver the money.
That is correct. So our expenditures are planned to stay the same. What this does is it reduces that deficit spending number from that 4.9 million to just over 2.6 million.
But even then, that's just an estimate because we don't have
Correct.
confirmation what the state will actually.
Correct.
Oh, correct.
Any other questions, board? Okay, this is a motion to approve the report as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. So up next, the board requested that items 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 be pulled and added as a separate agenda item for questions and a vote. Those items are now listed as agenda item 12C. The current remaining items will now be voted on. That being said, board, I have a motion to approve the purchases as amended.
So moved.
Director Adams, seconded by Vice President Greider.
Is this?
Let's take, we're approving the other items first. Not the 12C yet, non-irrigation items.
Perfect.
Right. Any conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. And now we're on agenda item 12C. This includes purchases for prior approval that the board requested as a separate agenda item for questions and an individual vote. Board, I have a motion to approve the purchases as presented. Vice President Greider,
Second.
Director Adams. Questions, board?
I'll start. So this is for the irrigation of the middle schools?
Yes.
Correct. It is. I don't know if Mr. Hamlet wants to talk a little bit about that, if the board has any specific questions.
I guess I'm reading this combined, it's a rather large purchase, and it says for field use. Generally, we get plenty of rain between March and July. The schools are in session in July and August, basically. So are we spending this money to irrigate them for September and October?
I would say that maybe we've had an unusual summer this summer, but I'm not sure that in certain summers we get a lot of rain in June and July. We are, I think the offer or what the board is looking to approve is we have field surfaces, so very much just like a gymnasium has a floor surface that we maintain and manage so that they're safe for classroom space. We are looking to do that for the exterior space that is instructional space for our PE classes. Providing water, a consistent water supply on those surfaces, as well as fertilizer and grass seed, allows us to not develop a competitive space, but allows us to develop a space that is safe and appropriate for our students.
So this, about what, $76,000 per middle school across the 4 middle schools. And this is for the irrigation system itself, right? So the irrigation and everything for the installation. Do we have I'm assuming that's not just per year, right? So that's just to install everything, and then do we have a warranty on that? So I think that's just, it's a lot all up front when you look at it, but this is to then be able to maintain across a number of years, presumably, yeah?
That is correct.
Yeah.
So that the dollar amount that you reference is for field prep, but also installation of the sprinkler system itself. And then I think the warranty is pretty standard, 1-year warranty. And then moving forward, the additional maintenance, there's a 18-month kind of maintenance package that is a part of that. That's to get the ground where we want it to be, where we need it to be, so that we're providing that space for students. And then, like many of our surfaces, whether it's our grass baseball fields or grass softball fields that the district manages, we contract with the company to do some of that fertilization and maintenance.
So obviously it would be, in an ideal world, ideal to have an irrigation system in every single one of our schools. But in this request, you've already identified Barnwell, Ryan, Hollenbeck, and Howell Middle. So I take that to mean that those are the only schools that need this help right now. The other schools have been investigated, and these are the only schools that have been identified that need that extra help to stay green and stay playable and stay safe.
So many of our high school surfaces that are grass are sprinkled already. Sager Middle School is also sprinkled because our high schools utilize that surface, so our band utilizes that field for their practice performances. Without that field surface being presently sprinkled, you could imagine having 100 students walking on your yard all day long, turning in circles, what kind of damage that could do. And you could imagine what kind of a dust bowl they would be practicing in the middle of the summer. So that's why it's only the 4 other middle schools. It is not, Sager is not a part of that big bid package.
All right, thank you.
I would like to add, Mr. Hamlin has done some background work to check on what the cost would be to maintain annually these additional fields that we're looking at putting sprinkler systems on. And with the increased water consumption, contracted seasonal service, turning on the systems, turning off the systems, the backflow inspections, estimated additional electrical power, we are looking at estimating between $2,800 and $4,900 per field per year. So as Mr. Delaney mentioned, we already do contract with a company that comes in and does that maintenance work for the Sager field and the other sprinkled areas, and we would be adding that to the existing contract.
Other questions?
So the maintenance contract that you just mentioned that you said is somewhere in the 33,000 to...
So this has, the additional contract hasn't been issued yet, but these are just estimated costs for what we think it would cost to maintain these additional fields per field.
So the purchase we're discussing right now is for the installation.
Correct, and the materials, yeah.
And the materials
and the installation.
And then in addition to that, we would be looking at paying another company to maintain it.
Long-term maintenance, just the turning on, turning off. Our staff can do some of the upkeep, but not all of it. Some of it you have to contract out because of licensing issues.
Yeah, you have to submit it to the city.
What do they do now without these systems?
I don't think we don't water them at all.
We don't water at all. So I guess my and it's been a while, so I'll use it as an example because it's a lived experience. When I was principal at Bryan Middle School, our field surface was relatively challenged. And I had a student athlete who unfortunately tore her ACL on that rather challenged field surface. The district contracted to have that field scraped one summer, so we had a contractor come in, remove everything off the top, re-crown, laid some topsoil, seeded it, and then I think the expectation was we were going to have a custodian drag a hose around the field all summer long. Now, you can imagine how that went over. It didn't take effectively because it's just you think about just watering your normal lawn with a singular hose and dragging it all over. It's a time-consuming task. So the size of those fields it's a challenge. So right now, we don't, our facilities staff, they mow that grass, but without a water source, any kind of fertilizer they put down, you're at the hit and miss of, do we get rain after that stuff is fertilized? At your home, you can know that the weather's coming in, and you might be able to time how you're going to lay fertilizer down. Obviously, on 4 fields like this, that's just a little bit different. So,
Just to clarify as well, these funds do not come out of our operating budget, correct? These are facilities funds.
The larger purchase would be out of the capital, budget.
So that would be operating.
yeah, in fairness, Ms. Greider, we transfer every year approximately $5 million from operating. Some years that's more, but we do transfer funds from operating to capital. We do have a set levy for capital, but it's rather small for a district this size.
Is this work we could do in the future if we didn't do it this year?
Yeah, I think any project could be delayed. So when we need exterior doors, a project can be delayed. So if the board, if it was the board's desire to pause this work based upon, or pause this recommendation based upon current finances or our fund balance where it currently is, certainly the board could do that, and it could be a project looked at down the road. If the board was requesting additional bids for this project, that's certainly something that could be done as well. So there is nothing to say that it has to happen today or begin tomorrow. This was shared with the previous board back in March as part of I believe it was one of our quarterly reports and presentations regarding capital and bond issue work. That's why it's just taken to this time to get to be on the agenda for approval.
So were there bids, several bids?
This was done through the TIPS cooperative. So as you're aware, as a public entity, we're allowed to participate in TIPS. They are essentially contractors that have gone through some pre-bid process and have a fixed price. It's perfectly appropriate through the state of Missouri.
So I guess to Treasurer McGuire, asking if this is work that could be put off, I guess it would be in our best interest not to, because inflation costs might increase the cost down the road, as we kind of expect if we held off on doing anything regarding Prop L and Prop H. That said, it sounds like we're talking more about student safety on the field, especially with mentioning of your athlete that you had at Bryan that tore ACL. As a former marching band student that marched at Francis Howell North, the old North, thank you so much. I remember what it was like rolling my ankle on some of those dry dust bowl fields. So I would encourage us to put student safety first.
As you reminded us, this was shared in the March meeting, which showed that the district put forth effort to demonstrate that this was a need. It was budgeted for. So I'm satisfied that the district has put forward enough due diligence as to why it needs to be done. But my personal view is a purchase on this size on a contract. I feel that if we went out for an RFP, we would get more competitive bids because that contract has been pre-negotiated, so whoever is awarded the bid is guaranteed a specific profit margin. If we went out for an RFP, we would be able to not only attract potentially local bidders that's reinvesting money within our local community, but more than likely we would see a quote that is lower than what we're seeing on tips. So I'm wholly in favor of doing the work that's needed, but my personal view is to put this off a month and instead go out for an RFP to see if we can get the cost lower. And if I'm wrong, then we can always go back to tips.
Could you speak to the difference between tips and RFP and why you chose tips versus RFP in this situation?
Well, I'm going to have to,
We might need to bring up Mr.
yeah,
Hamlet.
I would ask Mr. Hamlet to come to the podium and just kind of talk through that process a little bit. I want to make sure that the information given to the board is 100% accurate.
Sounds good.
First time.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you. So to try to answer the question about the difference between the tips and the RFP and why one was done and why one was chosen over the other, I'm going to have to apologize because I do not know that answer because these bids and the tips bidding was done prior to me being here. And so I do not know why that decision was made to do it through tips rather than to do an RFP.
And just for public record, when did you start? What was your first day?
Last Monday, August 3rd.
Yeah, just for everybody.
Can I still count it as days? I've been saying day 9.
Yeah, day 9, yeah. So like, you're new, so I want to make
Yeah.
sure we're just aware of the honesty of that answer.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, that has not been a question that I've asked anybody. So I've asked lots of questions, but
Yeah, I prepared a lot for tonight.
Not
And
that
that was
one.
not
We
one
did.
that I thought would come
not
up.
that one.
President Blair, I would say that sometimes TIPS is chosen because they are contractors that we have utilized before. We've gotten good pricing from them before. Additionally, certainly there are opportunities to do RFPs and they have their place. When you think about a district this size, if we put out an RFP for every single thing that we did, we would need an entire department of people to run and manage that process. So, indifferent to this individual process, certainly to Director Adams' point, if that is the will of the board, certainly, and I'll defer to my parliamentary friend over there, but I think a motion can be made to request that. And we can go through that process. But why TIPS is sometimes chosen is because we know these preferred vendors, they have a good reputation, they've done good work for the district in the past. And so that would kind of be my thought.
And if I can add to that, sometimes when you do the RFP, there's an additional cost to doing that as well, rather than going through the tips. So that can cost you a little bit more financially to go through an RFP.
Could I just add a clarifying remark? So the cost you're referring to would be advertising in the newspaper, for example.
Correct.
And then,
yes.
And then to finance, there's nothing stopping a vendor that we've worked with in the past participating in the RFP. In fact, it would be completely legal and ethical to make any vendor aware, hey, there's an RFP out right now if you are interested in participating. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, that's all correct.
my
Those are all
understanding,
public. They're on our website. We put them out on different spaces.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
my understanding, yes.
We have the motion in front of us is to approve the purchases. Does anybody want to make a
So I'm going to say.
alternative motion?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do this. I'm gonna say we have that proposition on the ballot in November to ask for a fraction of what our facilities need. If that doesn't pass, this is $250,000 we're gonna wish we had back for extremely dire needs for a district, because even that bond issue doesn't meet our facilities master plan. As I wish we could do everything for our schools, looking at the chart coming down, I would motion that we table this until after the November ballot to find out if Prop O and H pass.
So I'm hearing you say you would like to make a motion to table 12C until after the November election, and we know the benefits or the decisions regarding Prop O and Prop H.
Yes.
So the motion is to table this until November.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. This is now the primary motion on the floor. Any discussion on the decision to push this vote until November?
What are the potential consequences, I guess, of pushing this off? I mean, obviously then we're going into winter, you know, like, so maybe it would end up having to be a spring install or something like that. What does that look like for the field maintenance, and like, is there any additional costs we're gonna have or could potentially have to go back into this?
Yeah, a lot of these projects, whenever you do them, you're looking at student attendance. So this would probably have to be a project that would be done with students who are not in session.
Okay. Field wise and everything that we, good.
Sorry, also I would add that I heard from, I don't know who, when it was, but October, I think, is prime seeding season. So putting it off to November means that you're going to struggle to find people that are going to want to come out because it's going to be cold, the ground's going to be hard. You wait till spring, students are still going to be there. We still hear, every year we hear, in St. Louis, X month was the hottest year on record. It's only going to get hotter, the ground is only going to deteriorate. So I would not be in favor of tabling until after November. I think the work still needs to be done, but I think we can put forth 1 month worth of effort to see if we can get the work done a little bit cheaper.
Would putting it off 1 month still cause those same delays?
How so?
I mean, I don't know, it takes an extra month
People
to
have
get
to get it on their
RFPs.
schedule.
Schedule.
You have to
You
get
get it on
that great
schedule,
example.
and you're taking everyone's time here to go through it, like, for how much savings, you know?
But students are coming, and if they're occupying the fields, the work can't be done if they're here, is that correct?
Yes, yes.
When is the work currently scheduled to start?
I believe that we have some site work people coming in next week to begin,
Okay.
if this were to pass.
So I guess this is just me being, doing a little Google search. I mean, TIPS follows the purchasing and procurement process, so it is competitively bid. It just bypasses a very lengthy RFP process, which we then waste resources, time, and money on, because now our cabinet members are spending time redoing project work that they have already done. And having previously worked in my previous life doing contract negotiations, the RFP process can take well up to a year, because it's not a small project. So I can't get on board with delaying this if they're supposed to show up next week, and, you know, next year the work could cost us more, so.
And just to confirm, pretty much it's now or never in terms of it's either next week or it's next year.
No, I don't think it's that extreme. I mean, we would have to be checking with these contractors to see when they could come in. If we did another RFP, we would have to put that in as part of our RFP process.
I would respectfully disagree with Director Dillard. Having created RFPs and putting them out, you can choose whatever time frame you want. Sure. And all it takes is to advertise in one local newspaper to meet the legal requirements. You could have 2-3 weeks. You would still alert the same vendors. They would send in the quotes. They could be very easily analyzed, and it could appear before us at the September-October meeting. So it's not that lengthy of a process. And again, to Treasurer McGuire's statement about saving money, it still needs to be done. We might still save money. So I don't really see the downside in doing this, unless I'm missing something.
A lot of, you're assuming that everyone didn't already spend a ton of time to put this together. Now you're asking them to stop everything else that they're doing and redo something on the off chance that maybe it saves us some money and rescheduling and everything else. So I'm opposed to wasting anyone. I know how hard all of these people are working, and by the time something comes to us for presentation, they have exhausted a lot. And so I understand what you're saying. I just disagree.
I'm aware of that, but my personal opinion is that contract pricing is when you need something done now and ASAP. RFP is when you want it done as cheaply as possible.
So we have before us a alternative motion, and that is to table this until the November board meeting. Correct? Are there any more comments about this as the alternative motion? Okay, so we're going to make the first and second, it's up for vote. Let's do a roll call vote. And again, this is a vote to table until the November meeting.
Tre-
So a yes is to table, a no is to not table.
Treasurer McGuire.
Aye.
Director Olkey.
No.
Director Adams.
Nay.
Director Dillard.
Nay.
Director Owens. No. President Blair.
Aye.
Vice President Greider.
Nay. No. They were supposed to-
Motion fails, and we have in front of us the primary motion, that is to approve the purchases. Any more conversations on this?
I'll just make it official. I'd like to make a motion to, however you'd like me to phrase this, to go out for an RFP for this exact same work. I appreciate and respect everything that Vice President Greider said about the time, but I think we could save money. So I'd like to make a motion to go out for a formal RFP for this exact work.
I hear a motion to pursue an RFP for these projects listed as 12C.
Second.
Is there a second? Director Olkey seconds it. Any conversation about this replacement motion?
I guess, how much are you expecting to save? I mean, $74,000 for a sprinkler system for a school seems pretty reasonable. So even if we knocked off a few percentage, won't we spend it in their time researching that, presenting it? Or you were expecting to save 30%?
Having not being in the field, I don't know how much money we're going to save, but like I said at the July meeting, is this the best you can do? And right now, I don't think that this is the best that we can do, especially when, as patron speakers and Superintendent Delaney had said, there's a lot of frustration out there with our insurance. I want to prove that we're doing everything that we can to save as many dollars as we can, knowing that there's a possibility that there could be more cuts in the future.
Thank you. Any other conversations on this replacement motion to go out for an RFP and pull back whatever agreement needs to be pulled back to do that?
So didn't the administration do their due diligence to get the best price already?
That would be,
It's a debate about whether the TIPS process is equivalent as an RFP
Right, and
process.
I thought we typically got better pricing that way.
It would be hard for me to say. I don't know that, every time we do tips, I don't know if it's cheaper than an RFP process. That would be hard for me to say. I wouldn't want to publicly state that and then somebody find an opportunity where that didn't happen, and certainly I would be called out for it.
any other conversation on this motion? Can you read back the motion for us?
Motion to go out for a formal RFP project for 12C.
Let's do a roll call vote.
Director Olkey.
Aye.
Director Adams.
Aye.
Director Dillard.
Nay.
Director Owens. Nay. President Blair.
Nay.
Vice President Greider.
Nay.
Treasurer McGuire.
Nay.
Motion fails. We are back to our main motion, that is to approve the purchases of 12C. Any more conversation on 12C?
Let's get it done.
All right. Do you want to do a roll call, or do you feel comfortable?
That is up to you, President Blair.
Let's do a roll call.
I have different language over here. Give me 1 second. Director Owens. Aye. President Blair.
Aye.
Vice President Greider.
Aye.
Director Olkey.
Aye.
Director Adams.
Aye.
Treasurer McGuire.
Nay.
And Director Dillard.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Thank you for coming to the podium. So next we have a policy committee membership selection. In the interest of transparency and fairness, the selection process involved entering names into of interested community members into a randomized selection system to ensure a unbiased outcome. So the 26-27 Policy Committee will serve through June 30th, 2027. Board, I have a motion to approve the selection of the Policy Committee members as presented.
So moved.
Treasurer McGuire,
Second.
Vice President Greider. Any conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Next, we have an Employee Insurance Committee membership selection. Again, in the interest of transparency and fairness, selection process involved entering the names of all interested community members into a randomized selection system to ensure an unbiased outcome. The 26-27 Employee Insurance Committee will serve through June 30th, 2027. I have a motion to approve the selection of the Employee Insurance Committee members as presented.
So moved.
Director Adams?
Second.
Director O'Keefe the second. Any conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Board, we have a board-directed first and second reading and vote on R1420 regarding facility usage and the board's request to include tennis courts to be available for use outside of school hours. Board, I have a motion to approve Regulation 1420.
So moved.
Director Adams?
Second.
Director Owens for the second. Board, any discussion?
I can kick it off.
Please do.
So looking at the bottom of the resolution, this is the policy, page 5. When it states, stakeholders may use the tennis courts during the following times, provided that no students are present, no districts are scheduled, no facility usage permits are active. When it says Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on days when students are not present, does that mean that this does not include non-academic days, or is this only during the school year when students happen not to be on the tennis courts? It reads a little bit ambiguous that I don't know if spring break is included in this or not.
So what I would say is that reference is more when, like, the tennis team has a contact period during the summertime. So the tennis team would take priority during the day versus a community member that would come up and say, I'm here to play tennis, right? And then obviously during the school day, our tennis courts are utilized by some of our PE classes at Sager, and, like, for example, on that Howell Central campus, by students at Sager and Francis Howell Central. So during the school day, when students are present, and during those evening times when the tennis team is practicing.
But to be clear, that it would still allow people to use the courts during spring, summer, fall break.
Absolutely, the courts would be open from those time frames during the day and accessible unless some a community-based organization had rented the facility or the tennis team was practicing during that time.
Perfect. And then one more question, if I may. So I personally would like to see the courts open on the weekends as well, for the simple reason of that the main reason why I was swayed in my decision to give my thumbs up, I guess, to relook at this policy was the students that contacted us. They want practice time, they want to be competitive, and I know that there are a lot of ambitious students out there that tennis is not their only activity. They might have other extracurricular activities, and if they are only able to practice until 8 p.m., some of those tennis players may not have the opportunity to practice because of the other events they're engaged in. So is there a possibility that this policy could be amended to include the weekends? And if not, is there a reasoning that you can point to that you say at this time this is not a good idea because?
We might get to the point of you just being able to create an amendment, so we may want to look at the PDF to see what language I want to shift. But while you look at the PDF, we can ask Mark for the extra question.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, no, exactly. But if you want to eventually make a motion, you may want to look through the language.
Oh, sure. I was giving an opinion of where I stood, and then I'll the question to see.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the design around Monday through Friday was purely because There's staff on the grounds during those periods of time, and we don't have any staff that would necessarily be there on just weekends in general. So is it possible to open the facility at 7 a.m. on Friday and leave it open until Monday at 8 p.m.? Certainly it is. I think when we talked about initially the idea about trying to maintain and protect our facilities, having somebody open and close it on a daily gives somebody an opportunity just to inspect and view that tennis court, that facility. But certainly, if it is the will of the board, it could certainly be opened over the weekend and left open.
Thank you.
In terms of security, are there cameras on the courts?
There are not.
And the reason from last month is because there's some concerns about how to even get the technology out there to the courts. So it's not like we don't want to do security. There's just some limitations.
Yeah, I would say, just one of the things that is identified in Prop H is safety and security, right? I mean, there's always a need for cameras throughout your facility. That is both inside of buildings and on exterior buildings. Is it possible? Yes, but like anything, it just takes resource.
One more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are the courts lighted at night?
Our courts do have lights, but I don't know that there would be access to turn them on at night. I don't really know how the mechanism works. I think I would have to reach out to Mike Dieters, who's our.
Is there probably a key or
Yeah, probably. We'd have to reach out to Mike Dieters, who oversees our grounds and facilities.
Okay, so I'm just thinking about winter hours, sun sets at like 5 o'clock. So would we possibly want to amend and say sunset?
Would we have to consider the impact to the neighbors around
Yeah.
if we're going to be turning on the lights every night instead of just during district events?
That's a factor.
That would-
Yeah, I don't know if the lights are available just to the general public when they come up.
Yeah.
That part I just don't know, so I wouldn't want to say either way, but the idea that the courts are just open for people, and if it did get dark, they might, and they didn't have access to lights, they just wouldn't play.
Right. And that would be a different, I wouldn't want to play in the dark, that's safety. So, I'd like to make a motion to amend, if possible. Are we at that point?
Yeah, if you'd like to make a motion.
Yep, my amendment would be basically instead of 8 p.m., just sunset. I would change the word to sunset.
So there's a motion in front of us to remove the word, the reference to 8 p.m. to the word sunset whenever we see 8 p.m. So all across the document. Okay, that is the motion. Correct.
I'll say discussion.
Well, we need a second first before we discuss.
You want to discuss?
No, if I don't get a second, it dies.
Second.
Ooh.
Okay, there's a second. Now we have a new motion in front of us. Here we go. Want to speak to it, anybody?
Which definition of sunset? Because usually that's a 45-minute range depending on which.
Oh, I didn't know we'd have to define it. I was thinking like state parks have the word sunset. That's how they use, I don't know how they interpret sunset, but I know like Katy Trail is open till sunset. I would assume sunset means dark.
I would just assume that if the board went with that term, we would work with whichever staff member locks that up and just, we're going to be reasonable.
So was that chosen so that, would it be the custodian that's locking it up?
I've had some early conversation with some of the activities directors and also put out an email to Mr. Hamlet about who that might be. I think initially the thought would be that it would be a custodian that's opening that in the morning and one of the evening custodians locking that in the evening. But I don't know that for sure.
Well, I'm thinking they chose a particular time so that they would always know when to lock it. Otherwise, they're having to look at the sky every day.
Yeah.
And see when it gets dark.
It could be 9:30 at nighttime, which we don't want to do either.
I don't know.
We still have the motion in front of us to change 8 PM to sunset. Any more conversations on this replacement motion? Okay, so
So when you say till sunset, are you wanting to leave it Monday through Friday, or are you including weekends?
Yeah, I think I do want to include weekends, but I think that might be a separate amendment, right? Or do
Yeah,
we want to
well,
bundle? Are we bundling?
I would say let's stay with the motion that's in front of us
Okay.
first.
And then we can do another.
We can do as many as we want.
We can go crazy.
Ooh.
Right, so we have in front of us the motion to change it from 8 PM to sunset. Any more conversation on this motion? All right, roll call vote. Again, the roll call vote is a yes is to move it from 8 PM to sunset, a no is to not.
Director Adams.
Nay.
Director Dillard.
Aye.
Director Owens.
No.
President Blair.
No?
Vice President Greider.
No.
Treasurer McGuire.
No.
Director Olkey.
Aye.
Motion fails. We are back at the main motion unless there is something else a person wants to mention.
I would like to make a motion that the hours are from, the hours are as written Monday through Thursday, 7 AM to 8 PM, and Friday through, I don't know what everything is through. Friday, 7 AM through Monday, 8 PM. If that makes sense.
Jane Humper, could you read that back to us?
Yes, please do.
Well, what I have is a motion to amend the hours, or a motion, hold on, I don't even have it written.
Could I restate mine to make it easier?
Yes, you can restate it.
Yes.
Could I make a motion to change the hours from Friday 7 AM through to Monday 8 PM, and Tuesday 7 AM to Friday 8 PM, closing each of those days? So Tuesday 7 to 8, Wednesday 7 to 8, etc.
Your original comment was Monday through Thursday, keeping it 7 to 8, but Friday, moving it from 7 AM until Monday at 8 PM.
Yes, I was trying to clear that up, but if I've made it worse, then I'm going to push this button that turns me on.
Okay, gotcha. So the motion is Monday through Thursday, 7 AM to 8 PM, and Friday, 7 AM until Monday, 8 PM.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the motion. Is there a second?
Friday, Sunday, 7 to.
Is there a second?
No, we're not locking
To
them.
be unlocked. The whole week.
So opening on Friday at 7 AM, staying open through Friday through Saturday.
No, but then why would you lock it on the weekdays?
Yeah,
If
you
you're
never
just gonna
need to
leave
lock
open
it.
willy-nilly, like, why would we just not lock it at all?
Oh, hold on a second. We need a second to this motion.
Doesn't make any
Second.
sense.
Yeah, so now we have a second. Now we can speak to the motion.
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Dillard.
So what does make sense? Because the reason my reasoning is to avoid having a custodian come in and locking it on the weekends.
So why would you lock it at all?
You don't ever need
If
to
you're gonna
lock
leave it open all weekend when there's
If
no
you're gonna-
one here. Mark's reason,
Yeah.
Superintendent Delaney's reason was that they wanted to have those hours because somebody would be on the grounds until 8 PM during the weekend, or during the week. So that's where they were comfortable leaving it open during the day and for a few hours after school into the evening, but then closing it up basically while there's no one really on the grounds typically. So if we're going to leave it open during the weekends, then that defeats the whole purpose of locking it all. So
You just leave it
maybe the
open all the
proposal
time.
would be we just don't lock it at all, and then we don't have to have somebody coming out at 8 PM every night and 7 AM every morning.
That would be a speech against of the motion.
Right.
Any other comments? We're going to stay with this motion. You want to speak?
I'm more than happy for you to defeat that motion and make that if you'd like to. I was trying to keep it the same as it was, but leave the weekend open. You're more welcome to do your thing.
All right, we have the motion in front of us.
Question.
Yes.
Is there any signage about liability that's visible to all patrons on the courts?
No, that was a question that was asked by the board. It's in the updates for this evening. There is no signage that are on those courts. It is in our policy, but even in policy doesn't limit the opportunity. If somebody were to file any kind of lawsuit, they certainly could do so.
Okay.
Any other comments about this motion that's in front of
Well,
us?
I was thinking the same thing Amy was, that you're gonna keep it open all week and you might as well keep it open all week. I mean, why would you lock it at night during the week and not on the weekend? I don't.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other comments about this replacement motion from Director Adams? Okay, let's do a roll call. I is to largely make the tennis courts available throughout the weekend. And I don't know if you want to read it out loud, but you all understand the motion from us? By roll call.
Director Owens,
No.
President Blair,
No?
Vice President Greider,
No.
Treasurer McGuire,
Nope.
Director Olkey,
No.
Director Adams,
No.
Director Dillard.
No.
Motion fails.
Mr. Blair, if I might just make a suggestion. So, we brought this regulation today because of the concerns that were brought forth from the community and the desire to get these open. As I've shared with the board, we'll be, just due to some sequencing of some timelines that didn't work out the way, we had thought, we will be amending this policy very shortly. We will take a policy update to the policy committee at the end of August for read in September. That includes one of our student groups to be able to utilize our facilities in a little different way. And I wonder if the board were to move the motion as is today, and the board had some time to think about, whether they wanted it to be open on the weekends, as long as we had a suggestion for the policy committee, which I think meets on August 31st. We could make some updates if that is what the board desired. If the board desired to have that open on weekends, we could certainly make that update when we take it to policy committee. I think sometimes the hard part about policies are there's a lot of language that could be parsed, which is always the difficulty in this process. And we might be able to satisfy some of the community's needs immediately in getting those courts open in the short term, and then evaluate the weekends in the long term.
What I'm hearing you say is that if we were to approve this in its current form, there is a unique calendar window in our September meeting, because this exact thing is going to be in front of us and can be adjusted at that time too.
That is correct, and we could, the board could provide some feedback to that policy prior to. Policy committee might even have some feedback that they want to lend into the structure of the policy itself.
So before I move to that, I have one question I haven't got to from the initial review.
Sure.
When we brought this up this summer, I was very focused on making sure it was not sport specific for our outdoor facility usage. I cannot remember if we gave you the direction to only investigate tennis courts. Because based on reading this, it sounds like we have the ability to open and close our tracks also.
I would say that after the last meeting, the direction from the board was purely focused on tennis courts. And, should there be a desire to look into, additional facilities, that would, come at a later time.
In front of us is the motion to approve Regulation 1420 in the form that is in our diligent PDF. If there are no other conversations or motions, let's do a roll call.
Do you want to read it first?
The motion is to approve Regulation 1420 as presented.
Director Adams,
Aye.
Treasurer McGuire,
Aye.
Director Dillard,
Aye.
Director Owens,
Aye.
President Blair,
Aye.
Vice President Greider,
Aye.
Director Olkey.
Aye.
Motion passes. Board, I want to thank you for asking the questions. I think it's an opportunity for us to just share and explore I appreciate your ability to engage a topic that sounds maybe simple like tennis courts, but realizing there's other factors at play. Thank you all for your close inspection and your conversation on that matter. For agenda item number 14, curriculum second reading and vote, we have 3 curriculum documents that are on the agenda for a second reading and vote. Board, I have a motion to approve the curriculum as presented.
So moved.
Director Olkey,
Second.
Vice President Greider. Any conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Next, we're having a report regarding Warren Elementary. First onsite, and Penn Chin will provide an update on the progress from remediation and testing. Will you please come forward? And thank you for your patience during that last conversation. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having us back. If you don't know already, we had completed that project on August 3rd. And the clearance testing throughout the project with the third-party consultant, Pension here, had confirmed that the remediation efforts that we had been conducting was a success. I can go into the details of how we accomplished that or answer any questions that you may have.
I think just you clearly saying what was measured that led to you saying it was safe for our students and our staff.
The analytical reports that are analyzed through a third-party analysis firm, they come in and they take air quality samples and send them to the lab and they read them.
Can you speak to what percentage of improvement you found in the post tests after remediation?
I can speak to what the association to the exterior air quality is, which is what we use as a baseline compared to what's on the inside.
Okay.
And keep in mind, these are analytical results that are a snapshot in time.
Correct.
So as soon as the front door is opened, you know, those things are changed. Some of the greatest success of the reports were, correct me if I'm wrong, was a term that's called non-detected, meaning that we didn't have any species or genus of any type of mold detected within the containment. Highly unusual. We will have, you know, some sort of molds, considering molds everywhere. We did have some areas that gave us some challenges, which we had to go back and readdress and re-clean and add a little more air time or more time for air scrubbing. However, those results came back as non-detect in those zones once we completed that second go-around.
That's great. Other questions? Director Adams.
So getting away from all the sciencey words that I probably can't pronounce even if I tried, for all the parents, all the teachers at home that are watching, that are potentially concerned about there being mold in school, simple question, would you feel comfortable sending your family to study at Warren Elementary?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
In response to that snapshot in time, is there any plan to do a 1 month or 2 week check? I know once students get back in there, it'll be a much different environment. Or we're gonna do just a, yes, I understand we cleaned it, but just a 1 month confirmation, everything looks right still.
Yeah, I don't think there's any plans for that. You know, just like.
Is there any reason to do that? Would that be justified or a waste of time?
I'll give that to the.
We've had some informal and just some quick conversations about the possibility of them maybe coming back during fall break and doing another test, but we have not had any real formal conversations about that.
Any other questions, board?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Up next, we have a quarterly strategic plan update. Our Chief Academic Officer, Glenn Hancock, will present.
All right, thank you, Mr. Blair. We're excited to present our quarterly progress report this evening to highlight some of the work that's been happening to further the goals in our strategic plan. I will briefly review the planning timeline and the foundational plan components before turning it over to our pillar leaders. These leaders will highlight the progress their teams have made in each area of the plan and give you a peek at the work ahead. After all pillar leaders have presented, we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Here's a reminder of our timeline, of our planning timeline. We kicked off the planning process a little over 2 years ago in January of 2024. That spring, we held a series of community roundtables and surveys to better understand the district's strengths and opportunities. And in the fall of 2024, a strategic planning team came together to develop goals and key performance indicators. The board approved the 5-year strategic plan that November, and pillar teams convened in the spring to build out specific action plans to accomplish lofty goals established in the plan. We spent the summer making sure our staff were familiar with the plan and our priorities, and as staff returned in August, our pillar teams got to work. I'll remind the community that this is a 5-year strategic plan, and we are just wrapping up year 1 of our implementation. As a reminder, the full strategic plan can be found on the district website. And our mission of the Francis Howell School District is to empower students to be lifelong learners prepared for their future. Our vision, these are the vision statements that describe the future we want here at Francis Howell and by the year 2030. I won't read them, as earlier this evening you began the meeting by reading them out loud together. And then finally, our values, which are: we pursue growth and learning, we focus on what matters, we spend time and money wisely, we are kind and safe, and we embody one Howell. I'll now turn it over to our Pillar 1 leader, Glenn Hancock, who will go over Pillar 1. So I gave the typical Jen Joel's intro there that she provides before each of our updates. So I'm excited this evening to provide an update with our recent work regarding teaching and learning pillar, Pillar 1. In the upcoming months here, between September and October, we will be sharing more detailed information on student achievement and the actual numbers that are in our KPI goals. So we'll be sharing that in the upcoming months. This evening, I'd like to highlight a few updates related. We have 3 main areas in our Pillar 1 that's related to student achievement, student support, and college and career readiness. Within our student achievement area, this summer our curriculum and assessment team with teachers and counselors completed 2 weeks of curriculum and assessment writing. This work helps with providing clarity of our learning outcomes and collecting evidence towards meeting those outcomes. In addition, we held a School Improvement Summit, our SIP Summit. This is to help bring our strategic plan alive at the building level. And Dr. Altman helped organize this event and brought more than 170 building administrators, teachers, counselors to collaborate and plan professional development. These school-specific SIPs are designed to directly align with the district's overarching strategic plan and key performance indicators. Before diving into their individual plans, attendees participate in various whole group and breakout sessions to spark new ideas and new strategies. One of the major highlights, it's always a hit, is our Best Fest. It's an interactive session where schools learn directly from one another. Each school presented a success story from their 25-26 school improvement efforts, providing a fantastic opportunity to celebrate and replicate great work across the district. Within our student support area, to help build background knowledge around MTSS, we partnered with Solution Tree to provide learning for teachers and administrators. The learning provided support for creating tiers of support for academics as well as social emotional behavior. We had representation from each school as it served as a great launching point ahead of our School Improvement SIP Summit. As part of our school improvement plans, we have integrated a focus on Tier 3 instruction. While schools already provide support for Tier 3 instruction, the ask this year is to look at where we have opportunities to improve within Tier 3. In addition, this summer, Francis Howell served approximately 3,300 students. An enrollment size that would rank among the top 50 largest school districts in Missouri. Bringing these programs to life requires an incredible lift as they are designed, staffed, and implemented in just a few short months each spring. Our Summer Success Program focused on students facing academic hurdles, offering the confidence, support, and positive experiences they need to thrive long term. We will analyze fall performance data to evaluate an impact and refine our approach moving forward. Meanwhile, our enrichment, credit advancement, and credit recovery programs empower students to explore passions, bridge skill gaps, and get ahead. Combined, these programs reflect a massive investment in our students and highlight our community to serving every learner in our community. All of these efforts go towards supporting our students and our student group and working towards our KPI goal of student support. And finally, within our area of college and career readiness, a team led by Dr. Vanderpool and Dr. Morrison helped begin the outline of our characteristics we'd like to include for our portrait of a graduate upon graduation from Francis Howell. They used feedback from our community to help draft an outline. Dr. Thurston, our new director of secondary, will pick up that work, and that work will continue with developing the metrics that are going to be used to evaluate the success of our portrait of a graduate. And finally, in that area, we continue to expand opportunities for youth apprenticeships. These are areas that they get paid while developing workplace skills. This past May, we had 3 students sign with a manufacturing company, or various manufacturing companies, and then 2 completed their youth apprenticeships. We also have set the foundation for having an internal technology position where they can support technology during the school year. And then currently we'll have 3 students supporting or working in our early childhood programs as part of the youth apprenticeship program. In terms of what's ahead, what's next for Pillar 1, as we look ahead, within the student achievement area, we'll continue to focus on an implementation of our elementary ELA program and our instructional framework by supporting year 2 for secondary and our initial year for elementary. We purchased our elementary ELA resource in 24-25 and had the first year of implementation during the 25-26 school year. During this time, we not only adopted a new resource, but created a new formative and summative assessments and made a shift from balanced literacy to the science of reading. Within student support, this year we are strengthening our district-wide approach to Tier 3 instruction by expanding both leadership capacity and instructional monitoring. Previously, Tier 3 instructional walks were primarily conducted by curriculum leaders. Moving forward, we will train building administrators on Tier 3 instructional best practices, including what high-quality Tier 3 instruction looks like and how to identify effective implementation. Within MTSS, we're looking forward to our Year 2 kickoff. Based on the work we did last year with our MTSS leadership team, we increased our membership to help address areas we found opportunities for growth. By increasing our membership, we'll get additional perspectives and experiences to draw from to solidify our system to support students. And within college and career readiness, as I mentioned, we completed the draft of our portrait of a graduate. Our next step will be to identify those metrics that will help us understand where students have met the skills, competencies, and experiences we want them to have once they leave Francis Howell High School, Francis Howell School District. Our goal in our KPIs is to have 90% of our students meeting 80% of the indicators outlined in our portrait of a graduate. And additionally, we'll continue to explore opportunities that provide students with college and career experiences. Our staff is continually making connections in the community and looking for additional opportunities to expand college and career experiences for our students. So, with that, I'm going to pass it over to Ms. Simpkins to share an update with Pillar 2.
Thanks, Glenn. Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Simpkins, the Chief Human Resource Officer, and I am here to give you an update on Pillar 2, People and Workforce. Our 3 major buckets, workforce planning, staff retention, and staff recruitment, really do kind of intertwine with all of the work that we do. So we'll just talk a little bit about what we've been up to and what's headed next for our team. We completed our salary negotiations with FHSD and created a 2-year agreement with our educational support counselors that are represented by FHEA. We implemented a new parental leave policy, which really helps us with recruiting and retaining our predominantly female staff, allowing them to use their accumulated paid sick leave during the full duration of FMLA. In the past, they were only allowed to do that for weeks 6 through 8 when they were medically incapacitated, but this will now allow them to utilize their paid sick leave for the full duration of FMLA, being paid during that bonding time with their child. So we are excited to update that policy to be a little bit more in line with others throughout the area. We have, before this week, had filled all of our certified positions. We were excited that each of our classrooms would have a highly qualified staff member. We did just create 2 new positions on Monday, so we're working hard to get those filled for students. We did host a comprehensive job fair to recruit our support staff employees. We know they are the backbone of our staff and support our students and teachers. We're about 90% of the way filled with our support staff positions, and so still working hard to fill the remainder of those. We started collaboration with FHA and FHSD for some new service award programs. Some of the items that we've used have become invaluable to staff or just an old system, and so we're looking at ways to revamp that program to show value and appreciation to our staff. We also collaborated with FHA to develop a comprehensive compensation report that would share the salary history of Francis Howell throughout our negotiations as 2 organizations together with all of our stakeholders. And then we did complete the RFP process for that third-party staffing analysis vendor with a lot of input from our union leaders, our other stakeholders, administrators that participated in that process. We've decided to pause. We are going to revamp that RFP and get some vendor input. We had 2 vendors respond, and we really felt like that wasn't enough for us to really compare. The pricing structure was so very different between the 2 vendors, and it was hard to determine why. So we'll look at getting some feedback from the vendors that did not respond and then revise that RFP and go out again here in the future. So what's next for us? We're excited to educate our teachers on the new attendance incentives and policies that we collaborated with FHEA on throughout negotiations, just reminding them about the financial incentives for being strategic about using their leave. We'll begin to work on convening the extra duty committee to complete that work and look at salary structures for that group. We'll hope to finalize and share that teacher compensation report. Continue to recruit and hire for our support staff. And then we'll begin to work on streamlining the process for approving our outside vendors. There's a lot of vendors that work throughout the district, and we just want to review that process, make sure it's effective and efficient. And then we'll start to create a plan to renew background checks for our employees that have not been registered with the Missouri State Highway Patrol RATBAC system. So all of our employees have a background check, a fingerprint background check with the Missouri State Highway Patrol when they're hired. But the RATBAC program did not come online in the state until 2015, and then in federal, for the federal law until 2018. So while everyone was fingerprinted when they were employed, they're not all enrolled in that system. And we want to be sure that we're able to get that immediate notification when something happens. So we'll work on a process and a procedure to get everyone back through that system so we're ensuring the safety of our staff and students. And then I will turn it over to Pam Irwin for a Pillar 3 update in finance and operations. Welcome back to the podium. Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, so Pillar 3, our focus areas for Pillar 3, as we're looking at being a fiscally sound and efficient organization, our three main areas are resource allocation, ensuring we are maximizing revenue, aligning expenditures, and controlling costs. Process improvement, ensuring best practices are being utilized across the district for improvements in operational efficiencies. And then that third piece is service and compliance, ensuring we are maintaining compliance with internal and external requirements while providing a high quality level of services to our stakeholders. So continuing to look at ways that we can improve processes and make sure that we are maintaining and following the audits that, the audit information and those kinds of things to be in compliance. So what have we done? FY27 budget was finalized in June with the board approval at the June 18th meeting. During the budget development process, expenditures were prioritized through collaborative efforts with district leaders. The insurance changes voted on in May have been implemented with a projected savings of $1.5 million. The dependent verification process has also begun and will continue through the open enrollment process that began earlier this week. The Food Service Department has worked to streamline school lunch payments using the same system used for other school payments, Infinite Campus, so they've embedded that and integrated that together this year. We've implemented the shift to the one-to-one technology at the secondary level and completed the state audit follow-up. So what's next for Pillar 3? Our primary work in the near future will be prepping and planning for Propositions O and H, working with communications to ensure our families, staff, and community members are well informed about the two propositions. We will continue to focus on thoroughly communicating the work that is being done in the Finance and Operations Department to educate the Board of Education, the general public, staff, teachers, and leaders. We'll continue to work with the Insurance Committee to monitor insurance costs and dependent coverage, analyzing the impact of that dependent coverage audit, which will be one of the things that we bring to probably the second meeting, since we won't have the final report ready by that, I think that first meeting. When I met with MMA last week, it won't be, they didn't think it would be finalized by then, but we would definitely be looking at that. That would be part of the agenda for the very next meeting, hopefully. The technology department will be implementing a student ticketing system for any tech issues students may experience. This shift will have students submit their issue directly to the technology department, reducing the time teachers spend on these types of issues. Our next step is to also review summer school expenditures, including transportation costs. So as we continue to look at the different things that are part of our strategic plan for Pillar 3, that efficiency and making sure that we are spending the dollars wisely is obviously at the top of our list. I will now turn it over to Dr. Vanderpool to share progress on Pillar 4.
Good evening, board. Thank you for allowing me to come up and share some exciting progress that we have for our last pillar, our safety and security. I'm going to start by just thanking the board for allowing us. We've had several recommendations from our safety audit that we completed in 24, and one of those was Mr. Jemerson coming on board, and he challenges us every day to make this a safer place, and I think you'll see a lot of those updates as we talk through. All right, so what have we done so far? We've conducted building safety audits of all our schools, and we'll be looking at more depth in the next school year about what those audits can contain and how they can help us. We've updated our emergency operations plan and aligned it with the I Love You Guys standard response protocol. This is a nationally recognized protocol used by districts across the country, and one of the things that was recommended in our safety audit that was completed, and those have been dispersed to our schools. They change some of the things that we do, but also make it, I think, a lot easier and clearer, which is really important for staff when we're in an emergency situation. We held a collaborative meeting with our SROs that Mr. Delaney brought up earlier. I know that we've had meetings in the past with the SROs, but that group has expanded recently, and being able to have them all in a room for a couple of days and just to talk through how we do things and how they want to see things as law enforcement officers, I think help bridge a lot of gaps, and we hope we can continue that practice in the future. And then we've identified a new drill management tool, so we're really shooting to make sure that we don't have any errors this year, and that we are 100% compliant, which is one of the things that we've been wanting to strive for in our strategic plan. In the area of culture, climate, communication, we completed the student climate surveys, something we do every year. We ask kids, do you feel safe at school? Something new that we've done last year, which will give us a lot more information, is when they said no, we got details about why. And so the students were able to select what was going on, and that'll help schools target when those groups say that there's something going on. And I'm excited about that, because information is only as good as the details that it gives us, and that's one of the details that we were lacking. We've gotten guidance for our buildings on the staff survey data, so a new staff survey went out last year. We asked the same question, do you feel safe at school? We got some good quality feedback, and that will allow us to work with buildings over the next year to address their concerns. The Safe Schools curriculum, that's something that was adopted by the board last year, and we're in the process of developing lessons with a future rollout of 27, 28, just talking to kids about being good citizens every day and what that looks like at all levels. And then we're adding new evening sessions to our Citizens in the Schools program and recruiting a new cohort. Data privacy and protection. We've updated the IT disaster recovery plans that we'll never ever have to use because the plans are so good. You create a really great plan, you never have to access it. That's the goal.
Knock on wood.
And then we renewed the student data privacy agreements. And so what's next? we had a lot of things that came down from the state, not this past year, but the year before in safety. And so while not directly related to the strategic work initially, has been folded into the pillar 4 work. And part of that is the the cardiac response teams and additional AEDs. So every building in the district has identified a team that can respond in case of an emergency. The nurses, our nurses have been working hard to train those individuals. So our nurses are our trainers that allows us capacity to train as many people as we want. And we also purchased several new AEDs as we've done walkthroughs through the buildings and identified areas where we could fill those gaps for distance. So we feel really good about that progress. We've updated the district's incident command structure. I had the opportunity to sit in lots of hours of FEMA training this summer, and we put together a proposal. We'll be working through over this semester to roll that out with leadership up here and provide some additional training so that there's an event of a tornado in the afternoon or something happening in a school, we're ready for that and can respond appropriately. And then the Stop the Bleed training and disseminating kits. That's going to be occurring at all the buildings. The kits are here, they're out in the buildings. Building staff will be trained over the next 6 weeks. So we're really excited about that too. And broad coverage. So initially we were looking at just the areas required by law, and now we're going to see that we're going to have those Stop the Bleed bags in pretty much every classroom across the district. So that's exciting. And then in culture, climate, communication, we're reviewing the student and staff data to create building level plans. So we worked with our building leaders this summer to talk about that data and what it needs to look like. Now we're going to go and follow up about what those plans look like and how they're directly supporting staff. So we built some things into our year 2 work to make sure that occurs. Launching a district cultural heritage initiative, and then implementing systems for recognizing staff who live our core values. And then lastly, but certainly most important, is our data privacy and protection area, updating information in our Learn platform. Thank you all.
Thank you. Board, do you have any questions?
I know it came up last month. Has there been any progress in figuring out how anyone else in Infinite Campus can pay for lunches if they're not in there with the student? Like former grandparents, aunts and uncles would pay for student lunch accounts, but apparently in Infinite Campus, if they're not enrolled, they have no access to that.
I don't think there's been a change to that. I mean, we can do some double checking, and I can provide an update to the board in the weekly update. But I think I think that when we last learned about that, it has to be the primary account holder. Again, students can still bring a check, cash. I know sometimes parents are leery about that, having kids carry cash or carry a check in case it gets lost. But it is an alternative. But we'll check on that, and I'll provide you an update.
Yes, I don't need the update. Communicate that to parents and guardians.
Okay.
Dr. Adams.
Dr. Vanderpool, you don't have to come back up, and if you don't know the answer, that's fine. Just wanted to know if you knew that if the nurses and the cardiac people that they trained, are they both covered by the Good Samaritan law?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Great. We do not need to vote to approve it. That's just a report shared. So, board, we have a construction update. This presentation provides an update on all the construction projects funded by both bond funds and our capital project funds. This information is provided quarterly as one of our increased methods of oversight. Our new Executive Director of Facilities and Operations, Rod Hamlet, will present. Welcome, Francis Howell, again, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Hamlet.
Thank you. Good evening. Again, my name is Rod Hamlet. I am the Executive Director for Facilities and Operations. So before we begin, I just want to say how thrilled I am to be part of the district and to be part of this team. Just over the last couple of weeks, I can't say enough how welcoming, how great everyone has been. While we've already had some challenges over the first 9 days, it's exciting, and I'm up for that challenge. So I just wanted to say thank you to you. So tonight, I'm pleased to present our construction update. This presentation will give you kind of a clear look at how we are actively deploying both our bond funds and our regular capital funds to maintain, upgrade, and protect our district's facilities. So there's going to be two sections to this. One is the bond projects that we are finishing up. I'm excited to say that those are getting very close. And so we should have some closure on those bond projects. And then also the second part will be what we have identified last year in our capital projects that we began working on this year. So we'll start with our bond projects. The first one was our transportation fuel island and bus maintenance facility. So kind of to recap that timeline, I know that most of you were part of this, but we had the schematic design that was approved in August of 2024, followed by a design development in September, and then the bid issuance went out in October. The board approved the contract in November of 2024, and construction broke ground in March of 2025. Here are some pictures. I do anticipate this project to be completed just in the next week to 10 days. I went over and visited the facilities yesterday. There was a little bit of an issue with one of the drains in a wash bay. But other than that, the entire project is completed. So you can see some of the, oh, I went the wrong way, didn't I? I go backwards. See the other button. Got it. Okay. Thank you. So you can see some of the pictures from the asphalt work that was done there as well. The second slides that you'll see, slides 5, 6, 7, and 8, are going to be our HVAC improvements that we did. These HVAC improvements were at 6 of our school sites: Cosley Elementary, Central Elementary, Central High, Daniel Boone Elementary, Sager Middle, and Warren Elementary. Again, kind of the timeline on this. The board approved on September 2025 using the cooperative purchase agreement. Phase construction began in December 2025, and final commissioning be targeted for completion this summer. Slides 6 through 8 are going to show you that we have completed these projects, and they were all ready for the beginning of the school year. Some of these, there's still some balancing that will go on and some adjustments that will have to be made between the heating and the cooling systems. But for the most part, on day one, went around and checked out where we were at on these HVAC projects. And again, happy to say that we'll be ready to go for students coming back. So some of these pictures are going to be some of the piping and then the HVAC units on the rooftops. And then moving on to our regular capital projects. So again, these capital projects were identified last school year as things that we needed to get done moving into this school year. Several of these are already completed, while several of them we are currently working on, and then just maybe one or two that are still waiting to go out. The first one was we identified some pavement improvements. Again, kind of giving you that timeline. Bid issuance on 4/17/2026. Pre-bid meeting was on the 22nd. Bid opening was on May 5th of 2026. The board approved the contract on May 21st. Construction began in 6/2026. And the project, again, has been completed with all of our HVAC. Over the summer, we executed a major pavement improvement initiative. Slides 11 through 13 are going to show you the improvements that were made at Independence, Westwood Trail, and Barnwell. Also, part of the capital projects was the Hollenbeck lighting improvements. And as you know, while this obviously helps with illumination within the schools, this is also a savings by doing this and outfitting all of our schools with LED lighting. Not too many pictures on the lighting, because how many pictures of lighting can I take, okay? Daniel Boone, we have extensive roofing projects underway. Following the bidding process in April and May, the contract was approved on May 21st and construction began in June. Because of the project scope, this is a targeted completion schedule for October 2026. Work is progressing smoothly without really impacting school preparation at all. And there is some pictures of the roof at Daniel Boone. Meadows Parkway HVAC improvements. At Meadows Parkway, we completed mechanical upgrades under a cooperative purchase, contracted approved on April 16th. Work began in June and was fully completed in July. Slides 18 and 19 will show the new rooftop units and mechanical connections that were installed. So just kind of going through additional completed pending projects that we have. This is kind of a summary. The masonry tuck pointing at Cosley and Daniel Boone was actually set up to begin today. So that project will be underway. Gym bleacher replacement at a couple of the middle schools. Again, that can't really be done while school is in session, so we have that set up to happen during winter break. The Francis Howell North softball field and irrigation has been completed. We have miscellaneous flooring throughout the district. Most of that has been completed. There are still some areas in various schools where we are still finishing up the flooring, but again, that will not impact the start of school at all. Audio-visual equipment at Harvest Ridge and John Weldon has been completed. Intercom replacement in Francis Howell High, Bryan Middle, Francis Howell Central, and Hollenbeck is completed. Again, as we talked earlier tonight, the irrigation for the middle school stadium fields at Bryan, Francis Howell Middle, Barnwell, and Hollenbeck was something that was identified last year as a potential project. So that will get underway. And then siding and gutter replacement, we're still waiting on bids for that, and there was a little bit of a slow up on that. A couple things that kind of came into play. I think the big thing was when we first put that out to bid, it was right after a storm. It was right after a huge hailstorm. Believe it or not, we put it out to bid and we did not get any bids back. So we will be reissuing those bids here in the next couple of weeks to try to get some more bids back on that. Any questions for me?
Ward?
Just one, I think it's Daniel Boone, if I remember correctly, the roof, we said at the time when Mr. Stutz presented that they assumed it'd be fine, but until they actually got underneath it, would be confirmed that it could be done on time. You said that we found no complications on the roof.
No complications as far as I know that I've been told, and everything's good.
We should be able to
yes.
deadline it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And to that same question, is the roof repair happening in a way that does not interrupt education of kids?
Yes.
So like during the evenings and, gotcha.
That's correct. Yeah, everything went out, and I think part of the bidding process states that it would not interrupt any type of school, that the work would not be done while students were in session.
I believe that's one of the reasons why we chose that company.
Yeah,
They're
I
really
think so
good at
too.
Any other questions? Thank you for your second trip.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So board, before we get to the Board of Education comments, Superintendent Delaney, is there anything else you wanted to add? I know you spoke at the beginning, but I want to make sure you had an opportunity to add any final comments if you'd like to.
Yeah, I just want to celebrate the fact that we know all of our staff has essentially returned. We're excited about that, and we look forward to students returning shortly to get to the nature of the business of what we're all here to do. So just want to be ready to welcome back our students with open arms here shortly.
Great. Board, any final comments from you? Start with Director Adams.
So quickly, an apology to everyone and the millions of YouTube heads. Clearly, this needs a little bit more practice talking to this when I'm making a motion to make a motion. So I'm trying. Don't give me the pity. But I typically work better when I have stuff written down. So to that end, towards the end of last year, I introduced a concept that I called Operation Turnaround, where I suggested that instead of brushing under the rug the last few years that have divided us, we take control of the narrative and turn it into a positive. I made the suggestion that students challenge themselves to read books they normally wouldn't pick off the shelves, and then share their recommendations with their friends, teachers, and the board. With the start of school almost upon us, I felt it was appropriate to introduce a new challenge. I think we're all familiar with the concept of the melting pot, where people from different backgrounds come together as one. I recently read a book where the author suggested a different way of thinking about it, which is the analogy of a salad bowl. A salad still brings everyone together, but everyone maintains their own individuality and shares that with everyone else in the bowl. While we all share, while we all share similarities, each and every one of us has a different background, different cultures, and different stories to tell. So my challenge for the start of school is this: as you start making friends, if you're a tomato, make sure that all of your friends aren't tomatoes. Approach a cucumber, get to know them, and then bring them into your salad bowl. The same goes for teachers. If you are a theatre teacher who lives in the arts, grab lunch with a science teacher and get to know them. I can't think of a better way to demonstrate the concept of one Howell than coming together as one community while maintaining what makes each one of us unique and special. So, bless you. So thank you, and to both our students and our teachers, staff, and parents, have a great start of the school year.
Thank you. Anyone else? Kurt Owens.
Mr. Adams, I love your enthusiasm.
To what I read or what I did before?
To just you, just that you're an enthusiastic person. I like that.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. I just wanted to share, and you might know this, 32% of Missouri registered voters voted on August 4th. This was the highest August vote percentage since 2004. Mind you, it was only 32%. But thank you, voters, for using the power of the vote to make your voice heard. And here's to a productive, happy, and healthy school year to the entire One Howell community.
Thank you very much. Who else? Treasurer McGuire.
I just want to say thank you to all the district staff and teachers, administration, counselors, anyone else who spent the summer getting our district ready for 17,000 students. You had 2 months to basically end a school year, turn around, and get ready for the next one. And I appreciate every single person that worked in a building, a class schedule, a lesson plan, a hiring, an induction, whatever it is. As an elected community representative, the community says thank you for your work. It is a great district, and it only happens because of you. Beyond that, I want to remind everyone who's watching, despite our rather large budget, we are a rather large district, and we have the lowest tax rate in St. Charles County. Our budget only goes so far. If you go online on any social media, you will see PTO fundraisers, band fundraisers, activity fundraisers, teacher classroom wish lists, anything else that we can't fill the classrooms with our budget. So anything you can do to help our students, we greatly appreciate it as a district. To every activity, sport, you name it, it requires more than what we can provide, and we appreciate everyone who makes those donations. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, final thing I just want to share. Do you want to share?
Yeah. Sorry.
Up to you.
I kind of can't believe that another school year is already underway, right? It's crazy. My house is close enough that I can hear the marching band practicing from my driveway. As a former band kid, go Nick, right? Thank you. I love it. To me, there's just something about that drum line that I can hear carrying across my neighborhood that gets me every time. For me, it's always been the first real sign that, students and staff are already back at it, working hard before the year has officially begun. Please don't stop. I love that sound. But on a personal note, I have a student starting at Howell North this year, and today I got to tour the building. We got to walk his schedule, and it is beautiful. I've never been more proud to be an alumni of a specific school, but also of this district. Seeing what went into that building is truly gorgeous. But even more than the building being beautiful, just the energy and the excitement that was palpable from the staff today, setting up their classrooms and just generally looking forward to the students coming back. I loved every second of it. So it's contagious. But students, staff, administrators, welcome back. Thank you to everybody for your preparation, and I hope everybody has an amazing year.
Great. Thank you very much. My final comment is just to call to attention that the strategic plan that we look at that's aimed for 2030, it was approved November 21st, 2024. From there, we developed a facility master plan that began with a survey of district staff in May of 2025. There's a lot of other steps along the way, and the facility master plan was approved on January 15th, 2026, and part of that facility master plan included the projects that we see connected to Prop H. And I wanted to just share for everybody else that when you see those list of projects, those were not drawn out quickly. Those were intentionally planned to be part of an April 2027 ballot measure, but because it's in Bill 1002 that imposed upon St. Charles County only the requirement to do bond and levy issues on even year Novembers only, we had to push them together for November versus next April. But I want you all to know that when you see those projects are a conclusion of a whole set of process and conversations took place before it. We created the strategic plan, approved it. We considered and formed a facility master plan and approved it. And what's happening in Prop H is us pursuing the plans that were approved by some of the same board members who are here, but also different board members over the last few years. So we are excited to go forward on Prop O and Prop H, realizing that those are expressions of good financial management, which is what the 7 of us were elected to do, is provide good fiscal management. And so I wanted to share that with you in terms of the process and why they are on the ballot again in November. With that, board, I want to again say to the administration, to Mr. Delaney, to staff, we trust all of you to run the district. The very best days of Francis Howell are ahead of us. You know the plan we're all marching towards. We're excited about the leadership, everything from the custodians to the teachers to the administrators. We are proud of the people who make One Howell. You are now deputized to, again, continue your wonderful work. Board, I have a motion to adjourn open session and return to closed session.
Second.
Vice President Greider, second by Director Owens. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you all for being here, for joining us online.